You ask me what makes an older man ... irresistible. What a curious word you have chosen. Irresistible, not handsome, not desirable, not wise, irresistible. As if this man not only attracts, but compels. As if his presence imposes a gravity that no one can remain indifferent to. A man who does not beg for love, he takes it. He does not ask for attention, he demands it. He doesn't show himself to be useful, he is enough. And that is precisely why he is desired. But tell me, desired by whom? By women, by society, by himself. What kind of desire are you looking for? What gratifies or what consumes? For if you seek applause, I am not your advisor. Go to priests or therapists, they will teach you how to be loved. I am Nietzsche, and my craft is to forge human beings, who cannot be ignored, even when hated, and who know how to seduce with their silence. What you call irresistibility, I will call manifest strength, the visible manifestation of a spirit that refused to rot. Here is your first mistake. You think that time is your enemy, that aging steals, takes away, limits, that youth is the peak and old age is decay. That is the thinking of a slave. Worse, of a narcissist in despair. You age like a god or like a decomposing corpse, depending on how you look at time. Only the weak confuse wrinkles with ruin. The strong see in each wrinkle a victory against transience, a cut in the flesh of time. For youth lives on promises, maturity, on achievements, and then I will tell you the first habit, the most essential of all. The irresistible man has learned to be selective, but not with women, with invitations, or with wine. With his very presence, he does not give himself to just anyone. He is not always available. He knows that the most valuable thing he possesses is not his body, nor his career, nor his culture, it is his attention. And so he distributes it like a king distributes favors, slowly, judiciously, with the dignity of one who does not fear losing. You were domesticated from an early age to be accessible, friendly, functional. You were taught that being loved means always being ready, and that turned you into a servant. Here's the cruel truth. The more available you are, the less value you have. You were trained to be predictable, so that others could use you. The irresistible man who ages like an emperor does not explain himself, does not justify himself, does not rush. He imposes time, he doesn't obey it. Want the second habit? He walks with the posture of someone who doesn't seek approval, not because he despises it, but because he has already been proven through suffering, loss, loneliness, and no longer needs the gaze of others to exist. He doesn't seek to belong, and that is exactly why he is recognized. The herd fears and admires those who walk alone, because he carries within himself the presence of something that has already been overcome, fear. You know what I'm talking about. Most men grow old seeking to regain their youth, with clothes, slang, habits that no longer belong to them. The irresistible man, he wears time like armor. He doesn't pretend to be young. He is another kind of animal, slower, more lethal, rarer. The third habit, he takes care of his body, not out of vanity, but out of control. He doesn't chase aesthetics. He masters the machine. He understands that the body is the stage for the will to power, and that a weak body is a chained spirit. He moves with firmness, like an animal that knows its own weight. His gestures are precise, not hurried. His breathing sets the pace. His gaze does not search, it investigates. This man, even in silence, says, I did not come to please. I came to conquer, and that is why he pleases. The fourth habit is the most subtle. He cultivates silence, not out of shyness, but out of strategy. He has understood that words are weapons, and that, like all weapons, if used too much, they lose their power. He has learned to say little and mean a lot. Each of his phrases is like a blow, measured, precise, necessary. He speaks like someone who knows how to listen. He listens like someone who weighs every fraction of what is said. And when he is silent, it is not absence, it is condensed presence. This man's silence is worth more than the chatter of a crowd, because his silence is not empty, it is density. And finally, the fifth habit, he has transcended his own history. He no longer lives repeating traumas, proving points, winning imaginary wars. He has died a few times, and that is why he knows how to live. His gaze no longer carries guilt or anxiety, it carries determination. He can look back without remorse and forward without illusion. He does not seek redemption, he seeks expression. His every act is an affirmation, not a defense. This man has become irresistible, not because he wanted to be loved, but because he has become impossible to ignore. And that, my friend, is true magnetism. Now I ask you, are you willing to undergo this metamorphosis? To let the old man who begs for approval die, so that the old man who commands presence can be born? Because this path is not aesthetic, it is tragic. It requires deep cuts, breaking with the moral of being good to become real, ceasing to ask for love to begin to impose value. It is not a path of beauty, it is one of strength, and that is why so few follow it. Most men grow old trying to look young. Very few grow old looking eternal. But you, if you have listened this far, may be among the few. If you have the courage to break with the illusion of eternal youth and become an irresistible old man through strength and not makeup. Write in the comments, I do not run from time, I master it. But don't be fooled, awakening spirit. If the first step is to master your presence, the second is to kill the child who still lives in your heart, the one who fears being forgotten, the one who trembles before rejection, the one who still confuses love with acceptance. True irresistibility does not come from a face that time has spared, but from a spirit that has learned not to beg. A man who matures with greatness is not one who tries to please like an eternal suitor. He is one who becomes a reference point, even when he is silent. Do you want to know why certain older men attract with a glance, while others beg for crumbs of attention? Because the former stopped seeking belonging. They understood that the center of gravity of desire is controlled absence. They disappeared at the right moment, left spaces, created abysses. And the abyss attracts. What is always present tires. What is absent with dignity becomes legend. And the irresistible man is, above all, a living legend. Someone who is talked about even when he is not there. Why? Because he left marks, not traces. Deep marks, made of intense presence, surgical words, gestures that were more than movements. They were existential statements. And what else defines this man? He does not compete, and this confuses the young, the vain, the weak. He does not engage in trivial disputes. He does not need to prove anything. He has bled for real causes. He has lost loves. He has failed miserably. He has been humiliated. And he has survived, not with cynical detachment, but with a new kind of courage, that of not caring about the opinion of those who have never been on the battlefield. He is not arrogant. He is free. And freedom, this word that everyone says they desire, but few can bear, is the greatest aphrodisiac there is. For a free man cannot be tamed, and that which cannot be fully possessed becomes eternally desirable. There is, of course, a price. This man does not please everyone. In fact, he is hated by many. He arouses envy, provokes insecurity, and is called arrogant, insensitive, distant. But listen carefully. Every true presence polarizes. If everyone loves you, it is because you are harmless. The irresistible man has abandoned the desire to be loved by everyone, and that is why he is deeply loved by some. He does not mold himself to please, and that is why he charms the rare few who still know how to recognize greatness. Do you see how the habits I promised you are not behavioral routines, but transformations of essence? You expected a list. Give you an abyss, because it's not about doing something to become more desirable. It's about being something that no one else can ignore. And that's not achieved with tricks. It's achieved with pain, with silence, with destruction. Yes, destruction, because the irresistible man had to destroy within himself the needy boy, the anxious young man, the insecure adult. He had to look at himself in the mirror and ask, what parts of me need to die so that something greater can live? Most men run away from this question. You know the type. At 40 they still dress like teenagers. Get involved in pathetic relationships, just so they won't be alone. Spend fortunes trying to look young, but they're afraid to look inside themselves. These men will never be irresistible. At best, they will be desirable for a while, and then discarded, because what has no depth soon becomes predictable, and everything that is predictable gets boring. But a man who ages intensely does not age inside. He matures like a wine that becomes rarer with each passing year. His presence takes on weight. His gaze carries stories. His body, even marked by time, exudes authority. It's no longer about beauty, it's about power. It's not about freshness, it's about density. And there are those who fear this density. There are those who confuse it with arrogance, coldness, rigidity. But this is ignorance. Because this man is not rigid, he is centered. He is not cold, he is selective. He is not arrogant, he is just tired of asking permission to exist. And there is something else. This man has learned not to apologize for his own desire. He desires without guilt, and that, to the right eyes, is magnetic. He doesn't feign disinterest to appear elegant. He desires with presence, but without need. He can say I want you without saying I need you. And that changes everything. Because desire that doesn't beg is the most fascinating kind. Most men desire like an orphan. The irresistible man desires like an emperor. Now listen carefully. Traveler, if you want to be that man, you must accept a lonelier life, because most will not be able to handle your intensity. They will tell you that you have changed, that you are different, that you have become difficult. But that is because they do not want your greatness, they want your functionality. And when you cease to be functional, they reject you. Let them reject you. You weren't made for everyone. You were made for a few. And the more you accept that, the more you will become unmistakable and more irresistible. Life, for this man, is no longer a stage where he seeks applause. It is a territory where he plants symbols. He walks slowly, but where he steps, he leaves a trail. He speaks little, but what he says changes paths. He loves strongly, but without losing himself. He does not bow to fashion, algorithms, or the need for digital acceptance. He is old-fashioned, and therefore eternal. If you understand that is not achieved, it is revealed, and only after a long inner journey. Repeat, I don't want to be remembered. I want to be unforgettable. But perhaps you have not yet understood the danger of this journey. Because to become this man, this old man with a sunny presence, is also to accept that you will be hated by the mediocre, feared by the insecure, and avoided by the weak. The irresistible is not the one everyone loves, it is the one no one can forget. Not even those who lost him, not even those who hated him, not even those who tried to replace him, because he becomes a symbol, a wound, a provocation. Do you want to see how far you are willing to go down this path? Answer me. Are you capable of remaining silent in the face of stupidity without needing to defeat it? Are you capable of enduring the silence of those who do not understand you without lowering yourself to being explained? Are you capable of being misunderstood without needing to correct yourself? The man who truly possesses strength does not need to prove his nobility. His presence is enough. But this presence is only possible because he has already gone through the hell of doubt. He has been small, pathetic, ridiculous, and only because of this has he become worthy. But it is not enough not to ask. One must not fear losing. This is the real test. Most men live in fear of being abandoned, and that is why they become servile, insecure, manipulable. The irresistible man accepts the risk of loneliness. In fact, more than accepting it, he desires it, because he knows that it is in the silence of absence that real presence is measured. He does not hold on. He leaves a mark, and it is this mark that continues to operate even when he is gone. And you think this is about charm? No, this is about power, but not the petty power of domination. It is the tragic power of presence, the kind of strength that comes from renunciation. The irresistible man has already lost everything he could lose, and therefore fears nothing. And those who fear nothing ... attract everything. He doesn't need strategies, he is the strategy. His life is the argument. His gaze is his speech. His trajectory is seductive. And here we come to a point that few dare to touch. Most men grow old trying to maintain their place as desirable males through sexual performance, compliments on their virility, and boasting about their conquests. Poor things, they don't know that true desire is not born of performance, but of depth. The irresistible man does not need to brag. His energy speaks for him. He does not need to convince his presence is enough. He is not what he tries to be seen as. He is what, even when hidden, leaves a lasting impression. This man knows the power of rhythm. He doesn't rush. Urgency is for the weak. Calculated slowness is for masters. He speaks when he wants, responds when he chooses, appears when he has already made himself absent. He doesn't chase, he attracts. Not because he is inaccessible, but because he is in another time. He lives outside of ordinary time, and everything that lives outside of time becomes mysterious. And then you ask me, but how do you get there? How do you embody this strength, this absence of need, this dignity of gesture? And I answer you, with pain, with failure, with humiliation. You are not born irresistible, you become it. And becoming it requires renunciation. Renunciation of wounded pride. renunciation of cheap applause, renunciation of easy pleasure. It is necessary to abdicate the child eager for attention in order to give birth to the old man who commands respect. This man has learned to deal with his own shadow. He does not hide it, he integrates it. He knows that there are dark instincts, violent desires, zones of silence within him, and instead of denying them, he looks them straight in the eye. He doesn't want to look good, he wants to be whole, and that's why he exudes a strange calm. The calm of someone who was once a monster and now rules his darkness. The irresistible man is the one who has tamed his own demons, and that's exactly what makes him trustworthy. He no longer pretends to be all light. Look around you. Most men carry an expression of restlessness. They live trying to prove that they still have value, that they are still desirable, that they are still useful. And in this desperate attempt, they become fragile, because every desire to prove is an admission of doubt. The man who has become irresistible no longer needs this, because he is not trying to be someone he already is. There is something dangerous about him, and that is fascinating, because what is totally safe is boring. This man carries a tension within him. He may be sweet, but he is not submissive. He may be kind, but he is not manipulable. He can love, but he doesn't kneel. And this balance between presence and autonomy, between desire and detachment, between tenderness and firmness, that's what makes him unforgettable, because he is complete. He is not half that needs another half. He is whole. And because of that, when he chooses, his choice carries weight. And when he leaves, his absence hurts. It's no longer about appearance, it's about atmosphere. The irresistible man, when he enters a room, changes the air. His voice has weight, his silence has density, his touch has intention. He doesn't act on impulse, he acts with vision. He doesn't seduce because he wants to be loved, he seduces because his existence is an affirmation. With every gesture, he says, I am here, and I ask for nothing. But if you want to be with me completely, because I don't accept half measures. And that's why he doesn't give himself away easily, because he knows the value of what he has to offer. He's not desperate for love. He is the very invitation to love that transforms. He doesn't want to be taken care of, he wants to be accompanied. He's not looking for a trophy, he wants a partner for the abyss. And if he doesn't find her, he doesn't settle. He prefers dignified solitude to convenient love, because he doesn't need a place to exist. He is his own place. If you understand that becoming irresistible means crossing the desert of self-sufficiency, say out loud, I prefer the solitude of the warrior to the company of the servant. We have reached the most dangerous moment. Traveler, you have crossed 3 steps, and now you face yourself. No longer as a young man seeking to conquer the world, but as a man who realizes that the world no longer seduces him as it once did. And this is where everything is defined. Either you become bitter over the loss of youthful fascination, or you become fascinating precisely because you no longer need it. Yes, this is the turning point. The moment when you realize that you should no longer seduce with promises, but with presence. And for that, something must die. Dependence. This is the most lethal poison for mature men. Dependence disguised as connection. The constant search for attention, for praise, for being in a relationship, for that message being answered. The irresistible man, on the contrary, has learned the rarest art of maturity, being whole, even when alone, and not as self-help rhetoric, but as concrete experience. He does not fill voids, he contemplates them. He does not flee from silence, he transforms it into a temple. And that is why he does not despair when others distance themselves, because he has already distanced himself from himself, and returned. This man has faced nights when even his own company was unbearable. He has wanted to disappear. He has been lost, and he has survived, not with cheap optimism, but with a brutal decision. If he is to live, it will be with dignity. And this decision made him reborn, not as someone who wants to start over, but as someone who now chooses everything, the places he walks, the eyes he meets, the hands he touches. Let's go deeper. The irresistible man is a curator of his own space. He doesn't allow any energy to penetrate him. He has learned that his peace has a price, and he is willing to pay it, even if it means loneliness, even if it costs him love, even if it seems like pride. He no longer sells himself for affection, because he knows that true affection cannot be bought, it is recognized. And if it is not recognition, it is distraction. This man, therefore, has become dangerous, because he no longer needs to be. and anyone who doesn't need to be chooses with precision. He no longer plays games, he doesn't engage in shallow conversations, he doesn't waste energy explaining the obvious, he doesn't argue with idiots, and that makes him rare, because most people are always trying to be understood, accepted, approved. Not him. He knows that there is something more precious than being understood, is being honest, and that is why he carries a mystery, because he no longer exposes himself to everyone, he shows only what is necessary, and even so, he leaves a trail, because in his presence there is the memory of something ancient and, therefore, eternal. Now, let me confront you with the questions you avoid. You who read this seeking to become more magnetic, more impactful, more irresistible, are you willing to lose everything that does not respect you? Are you ready to say no to invitations that flatter but do not honor? Are you strong enough not to respond when provoked, not to run when ignored, not to bow down when tempted with crumbs? Well, I tell you, if you're not free yet. You're still driven by expectation. You're still waiting for something in return. And while you wait, you're weak. Only those who no longer expect anything can offer everything. Because what they offer doesn't come from lack, it comes from abundance. And that free spirit can be felt. Bodies feel it. Souls perceive it. Desire isn't born from what is said, it's born from what is emanated. And there is something else that needs to be said. The irresistible man knows that he is ephemeral, and so he does not try to make himself eternal. He intensifies. Each encounter is total. Each glance is a dive. Each presence is a ritual, because he knows that he may never be there again. He does not cling, but he leaves his mark. And so, even after he is gone, he remains present, in thoughts, in dreams, in future decisions. He becomes a benchmark, because he didn't try to please, he tried to be whole, raw, impossible to reduce, and that is why, paradoxically, he is remembered with longing, because he was real, and what is real, cannot be repeated. The irresistible man is the one who dared to be real when everyone else was busy trying to look desirable. He dared to show his pain, but without drama, his passion, but without attachment, his desire, but without dependence. He dared to be whole, and that's why it's impossible to forget him. Now listen to me carefully. There are no shortcuts. There is no formula. What I'm offering you here is not a path to seduction. It's a call to greatness. And greatness comes at a price. It costs sleepless nights. It costs losses. It costs misunderstanding. It costs exile from the common crowd. But what comes after is silence laden with presence. It's a look that no one can sustain for long. It's a gesture that transforms the atmosphere. It's an absence that causes crises. Do you want to be that man? Then get ready. Because first, you will be misunderstood, then imitated, then hated, and only in the end, respected, not by everyone, but by the few who also dared to look within. You will not be popular, but you will be unforgettable, and that is enough, because what is popular, is predictable, and everything that is predictable dies early, and then we reach the summit, the thin air of the mountain of self-sufficiency. Many have fallen along the way, killed by doubt, by the need to please, by nostalgia for youth. But you, if you remain here, are no longer just another old man, nor are you yet an Mensch. You are on the crossing, and it is this crossing that makes you dangerous, because you no longer fit the mold of what is expected of you, but you don't yet have a name for what you are becoming. You are chaos in the process of structuring itself. You are the incarnate promise of a new masculinity that makes no apologies for aging, but demands to be looked in the eye. Look around you. How many men resist time? Resist, yes, not in the sense of fighting it, but of keeping it at bay. Time does not forgive the weak. It turns them into caricatures. But the strong, those who know how to dance with decay, those who turn loss into a symbol, those who make the end a new beginning, the strong are crowned with magnetism by time. The irresistible man is not the one who deceives age, is the one who transforms it into a ritual. And this is where the fifth habit is revealed. The irresistible old man is the one who creates new values. He no longer lives under the rules imposed by others. He no longer submits to the morality of the useful, the kind, the nice. He himself has become the source. And that is why he is dangerous, because everything that is a source disturbs those who still drink from other people's wells. He does not live to be accepted, he lives to be true. And truth, when embodied, is not an idea, it is an impact. This man thinks for himself. He acts for himself. He loves by choice, not out of need, and that is precisely why he can be generous, because he is not expecting anything in return. He does not form relationships to fill holes, but to share excesses, and that is rare, because most people live in a state of emotional scarcity. The irresistible man lives in abundance of himself. But be careful, this does not make him arrogant. On the contrary, he is calm, almost silent, because he has seen too much. He already knows that most people talk so they don't have to feel. He speaks little, because he feels everything. Every word he chooses carries the weight of destiny. Every yes is total. Every no is definitive. And that is why being in his presence demands attention. He does not allow superficiality, not out of rigidity, but because he knows that every encounter is unique, and that wasting life with lukewarm conversations is the most vulgar of deaths. This man knows how to dance, not necessarily with his feet, but with his soul. He dances with chance, with uncertainty, with pain. He no longer needs guarantees, because he has seen the ground crumble beneath his feet, and survived. What's more, he turned the abyss into a springboard. He fell, and instead of breaking, he learned to fly. And that is why he now walks with lightness. Not the lightness of fools, but the lightness of those who have carried the world, and discovered that it was made of paper. He also learned to laugh, but not the cynical laughter of those who have given up, the tragic laughter of those who have understood. He laughs at himself, at love, at death, at his own image, because he no longer needs to appear to be anything. He is, and that is enough. For him, the laughter of the irresistible man is a laughter of liberation, the laughter of someone who knows there is nothing to prove, nothing to defend, nothing to maintain, only something to express, his own existence as a work of art. Yes, this man is a work of art, unfinished, yes, but constantly being sculpted. Each decision he makes is a chisel, each gesture is a brushstroke, each silence is a frame. He is no longer a character, he is the author, and that is why he is magnetic. Because everyone wants to be close to someone who has the courage to be themselves, and there is still a secret that almost no one dares to admit. The irresistible man is the one who is not afraid to die. He looks at death with familiarity, not because he is suicidal, but because he has understood that the end is just one of the forms of the beginning. He has died so many times in loves, in ideas, in versions of himself, that now he does not fear collapse. He knows that the only way to stay alive is to let himself die in everything that no longer pulses. That's why he doesn't cling to roles. He can be a father, lover, friend, mentor, but he doesn't confuse himself with any of these. He is what lies behind, a flowing force, a spirit that creates fire that transforms. And so, when he leaves behind more than just longing. He leaves direction. This is the man who, as he grew older, did not fade away. On the contrary, he became a fire that burns slower but deeper. He does not burn to attract attention, but to illuminate those who dare to come close. He does not shout, but his presence echoes for years, because he did not live to be eternal. He lived to be inevitable. And that is what makes him irresistible. It's not the clothes, or the gray hair, or the well-groomed beard. It's the fact that he doesn't need any of that. He could be naked, silent, in the dark, and he would still be noticed. Because there is something about his way of being in the world that transcends appearance. He is presence. He is a symbol. He is choice. Now you know, it's not about learning 5 habits. It's about becoming man enough to sustain them. It's about burying the needy boy, silencing the anxious young man, ignoring the insecure adult. It's about forging within yourself a new figure, the creator, the one who doesn't imitate, who doesn't wait, who doesn't adapt, the one who decides what is desirable, and is therefore desired. This man wasn't born ready. He was born ordinary, like you, but he refused to die that way. He didn't accept being remembered as someone nice, kind, approachable. He wanted to be remembered as a presence, as a landmark, as a force. And so he became, not by magic, but through pain, through silence, through loss, through overcoming, through fierce self-love. And that is why, now, when he walks among the living, he carries the weight of the dead. He is in no hurry, because he has seen time pass. He does not apologize, because he has been accused and moved on. He does not explain, because he has been misunderstood and understood that being understood is a luxury of the common. He lives like someone who knows that every step could be his last, and so he treads with intention. He looks like someone who knows that every glance could be goodbye, and so he looks with presence. He touches like someone who knows that nothing lasts, and so every touch is sacred. This man, this traveler, is your possible future, but only if you have the courage to destroy everything you are today. Because greatness cannot be built on convenience. It must be demolished, it must be renounced, it must die, so that it may finally be born. And when you are born, you will know, being irresistible was never the goal. It was merely the consequence of daring to be real.